So it is Sunday morning, which means it is Saturday Superlatives time, looking back, obviously, on this Sunday at the heroes of college football from this past Saturday. And we'll start with quarterbacks. And a lot of quarterbacks really had great days. And I'm going to start with someone in a losing effort. Once again, just a true freshman is DJ Uiagalelei. And at times he did look like a freshman, but the talent is just obvious and jumps out at you. He shows a ludicrous arm. He's a good athlete. He sees the field surprisingly well for someone who's, obviously very early in his football career at the collegiate level. He had two passing touchdowns and was 29 of 44, 439 yards. Also had a touchdown rushing on 13 attempts. Only two net yards because at the college level they subtract the sack yardage from your rushing yards. And despite, his best efforts, obviously we know Clemson went down to defeat, but I have a feeling if he keeps playing at this level, even if for some reason he has to start the rest of the year, I don't think Clemson's losing again, even if they should meet Notre Dame in the ACC championship game, but we'll see. Then I would be remiss if I didn't mention the opposite number. Ian Book also looked masterful, for lack of everybody putting it. I've never understood why he never got more love. He's not the biggest guy. He's not a freak athlete, but he's just efficient and calm. And he had one touchdown passing. He extended a lot of plays. He had 310 yards passing. And once again, he didn't seem, even when the defense was right around him, you never see him rattled. You didn't see him confused. And Venables, trust me, Coach Venables, the defensive coordinator at Clemson, throws a lot of things at you. He handled every bit of it. And, once again, I think if these teams played 100 times, even with both teams at full strength, I think Clemson wins 55-56, but I think that 45 or 44 would go to Notre Dame. And a big reason for that's Ian Book. Keep going. Michael Penix. And here's a guy who's come a long way and didn't take long to get there. If you saw him earlier in his career, you might have wondered if he was going to be able to play quarterback, at least at the Big Ten level. Well, now he's playing extremely well. 30 of 50. He had 342 yards, passing, 3 touchdowns, and once again made some plays with his feet. Keep on going. Another super sophomore, Keitan Slovis. We've talked about Sam Howell. Keitan Slovis, who's finally getting a chance to show what he can do in an extremely dramatic game where both teams deserve to win or deserve to lose. I mean, I even look at it at various points. But Keitan Slovis hung in there and helped USC to pull out a very, very, very close victory. And he had a great day. 40 of 55. That's probably too many attempts. But whatever. 40 of 55. He had a couple of touchdowns passing, including an extremely, one you'll see on SportsCenter, the tip ball that went from Drake London to Brew McCoy. But I was more impressed with some of his other passes, including a couple up the rail shots to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then some other passes to Drake London. And they have a lot of good receivers at USC, right? But Drake London, I mean, I talked about him last year, though I didn't have this video series going yet, but put a star, put a circle. I mean, if he ever decides to concentrate on football and he's also on the basketball team, he's going to be ridiculous. He's already great. Shane Bouchelle, a guy who could probably be on this every week. 24 of 35, 355 yards, 4 TDs. And it was, once again, that's like a ho-hum day at the office for Shane Bouchelle. Another guy who probably deserves to get more love. I think most people have him probably in the middle of the third, fourth round range. And he might even go there, but if he does, I won't be shocked if he's one of those guys that, kind of pulls a Kirk Cousins and eventually goes from being a backup to a starter. Kyle Trask, another guy who's probably going to start his career seen as a backup, maybe become a starter, or maybe some people are seeing him as a starter now. 30 of 43, 474 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and, he just handled everything. Once again, he made a couple of mistakes, but for the most part, he looked like, a guy who can handle whatever you throw at him. Who else do I need to mention? Oh, Justin Fields. Speaking of ho-hum boring greatness, Justin Fields, more ho-hum boring greatness, 24 of 28. Because once again, 4 balls. 1, 2, 3, 4 balls. The whole game hit the ground. Once again, that's hard to do in practice, people. 5 passing touchdowns, and of course a rushing touchdown, because why not? I guess we can't hand him the Heisman yet, and once again, there's a lot of football still to be played, but my God, he looked great. And of course, the flavor of, not even the month, the flavor of the year, probably the rest of the year in terms of people who are into following the draft is probably Zach Wilson at BYU. 21 of 27, 359 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a lot of wow throws. Now, I think, and once again, I'm not saying he's fool's gold. I think he's very, very good. But I think some people get a little too excited by some of the wow throws. And as the old saying goes, some of the things that make you laugh and make you cry. He's one of those guys that really, 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 really believes he can make every throw, and he's mostly right. But every once in a while, he'll do something he probably shouldn't because he has so much belief in his arm. I'm going to touch on a real dual threat quarterback, and that's Malik Willis. Once again, hats off to Liberty. Liberty is in my home state of Virginia, and I remember when they launched their football program, and Jerry Falwell, founder, and was still alive at the time, and first president of the school, announced that his goal was to, I think he said in 25 years, to beat Notre Dame. I don't know if they're going to pull that off, but they've gone from being a small program to a program that's not that little. They're playing, obviously, with the big boys and beating them, and that's not going anywhere. They're going to be good for a long time, partially because they're in my state. And Virginia, though people don't think of it as a huge football state, a lot of talent comes out of Virginia. And they're going to get kids from Kentucky, North Carolina. They're going to get kids from Maryland, the D.C. area. And you don't have to be a national recruiter. If you're a good regional recruiter, getting even the second best kids out of all those states in that area, you're going to still be good. And soon, if Tennessee continues to flounder, they're going to start getting kids out of Tennessee too. Mark my words. But yes, those are some of the quarterbacks I wanted to make sure I mentioned, and I don't think I missed anybody. If I did, yell at me. So I'll be moving on to talking about running backs in just one moment on my Superlatives.